War. War never changes. The Romans waged war to gather slaves and wealth. Spain built an empire from its lust for gold and territory. Hitler shaped a battered Germany into an economic superpower. But war never changes.
So, Fallout Classic, 1997. I'm not going to attempt a documentary-style deep dive into the game's development, as plenty of people have already done that, and way better than I could. That said, there are a few disclaimers before we dive in. First, I do have some experience with Fallout 3, 4, and New Vegas, but it's pretty limited, mostly because, well, I never actually finished any of them. Second, I'm playing this with the Fallout FIXT mod, using mostly the default installation settings. I know there are other mods out there and there has been some discussion over which one is the best, but this one worked great and I'm pretty happy with it. Third, as usual, the full playthrough is available as a playlist here on the channel, in case you want to get mad at how confused I was on some parts. And finally, this should go without saying, but unlike some of the more linear games I've covered, Fallout 1 is very open, so it's very possible that I'll break quest order, skip things unintentionally, or just wander into places I shouldn't. But that's part of the fun. Also, a small confession. Before I started recording, I played for about 3 hours and managed to break a quest so badly that I decided to restart the whole thing. I'll give more details when we get to it. Alright, let's jump right into the character creator and start the game. I didn't think about my starting build too much. I just knew I wanted to make a thief stealth type character. That said, I already messed up. I meant to give myself 6 perception, but I accidentally dropped that extra point into endurance instead. So the build looks a little janky, but hey, we'll make it work. Now, I know it's fashionable to complain about how ugly faces are on American-made games nowadays, but honestly, it's a tradition dating back decades. Anyway, we are the last hope of Vault 13. Our mission, venture into the wasteland and find a replacement water chip before the vault runs dry. We've got 150 in-game days to complete the mission. I'm not a huge fan of time limits in RPGs, but I think we can manage. Finally, I step outside the vault, loot the nearby corpse, and get equipped. At first, I was a little confused, but the game can fully be controlled via mouse input. You can cycle between different modes by pressing right-click, and there is always a button for everything. It might be a bit confusing and awkward at first, but it's not that hard to figure out. As soon as we approach the nearby rat, the game drops you into turn-based combat. We've got a limited number of action points each turn, to move, attack, or use items. And that was anticlimactic. I didn't waste time rat hunting and just exit the map. Heading straight toward Vault 15, I came across the small town of Shady Sands. You have to unequip your weapon before entering. And yeah, it's a bit annoying to do that every time, but making an entire town hostile is way more annoying if you're trying to play the good guy. First order of business, talk to everyone. This might unlock objectives or places in the map. Eventually, I met Ian. I can recruit him as a companion, but I'm gonna need 100 caps. After I looted everything in town that wasn't nailed down and talked everyone's ear off, it was time to put my thief build to the test. And turns out, stealing is kind of overpowered. I made the poor town even poorer and recruited Ian in no time. With the extra firepower at my side, I ignored every local plea for help. Why? Because I wanted to get to a town with an actual store. My MMO brain had already kicked in. I wanted some loot first. So we made our way to Junktown. Once there, we paid a visit to the store owner, who also happens to be the mayor, Killian. As soon as we stopped talking to him, an assassin burst into the store and we can help kill him. Right away, Killian gives us the mission to take down Gizmo, the owner of the casino. We're given a couple of items to record evidence against Gizmo. But before we do all that, we're going to stop by the local bar. And this is the part where we discuss what went wrong for me the first time. When you first enter the bar, the closest NPC to the entrance is this guy. If you speak to him, things will most likely devolve into a fight. And if you are the one to deliver the killing shot to him, you will become hostile to his gang. So far, that's not so bad. Eventually we're going to kill the gang anyway. But the problem is that this little lady is marked as both a gang member and a civilian from the city. So if you fight the gang, you'll also fight the girl, and since there's no such thing as non-lethal in this game, as soon as you or your companions kill the girl, the town is going to hate you, including the new companion we're about to get. This led to the ridiculous situation where the new companion blew the girl away with a shotgun only to get mad and start attacking me on his very next turn. God bless all fan patches, but I guess you can't fix everything. Anyway, the best way to avoid all this is entering the bar and do nothing for a while until the bartender kills the bad guy. And hey, free leather armor. After, inside the bar, look for Taiko or new companion. Many thanks to the FIXT mod for the option that gives companions different colors, or I would have never figured out he was different from all the other bald guys in the wasteland. Now, going back to the Gizmo mission, I couldn't figure out how to use the items Killian gave us, but the easiest way is just to talk to Gizmo and take the job to kill Killian. Once you return, that is all the evidence we need to mobilize Junktown against the casino. So Killian gives me a reward and also asks if we want to help attack Gizmo, and tells us to go to Lars to start the fight. But, and there's another criticism for the game, I have no idea who Lars is. Every NPC kinda looks the same, and they don't necessarily share their name when you talk to them. And even if you use the look command, you're not guaranteed to get a name either. After a long process of elimination, I found Lars, and see, the game won't tell you his name. Anyway, we can talk to him to start the encounter. The first time I did it, I was alone and barely survived. Also, if Lars dies, you won't get a reward. But thanks to the extra firepower of my companions, it was easy to put Gizmo down and get a lot of loot. Once that's taken care of, Lars will give us the reward money. Before leaving, there's a couple of things missing, like rescuing this girl at the hotel. I tried backstabbing the bad guy with a shotgun, but it didn't go very well. You can also recruit the traditional Fallout companion Dogmeat by feeding him an iguana. Dogmeat is pretty strong at the start, disabling opponents, but let's put a pin on that for later. You'll also find that you can get into Killian's storage room and get even more loot. Rope? Why would I need rope? I lockpicked Killian's safe and got the Magnum and a lot of money. I couldn't figure out how to destroy the gang without triggering the bug, but we'll return there someday. I went back to Shady Sands to take care of the rat scorpion problem, and my first time around I wasted so many days trying to find a cave or something in the world map. But it turns out the only way to get there is asking Seth to teleport you via dialogue. With a party of 4, it was easy to clean the caves. What was hard was carrying all those scorpion tails. This is a great moment to explain that you can use companions as mules by using the steal command on them and plant stuff on their inventory. You can also use this method to upgrade their armor and weapons. Back in Shady Sands, there is no reward, but you can give scorpion tails to the doctor so he can make antidotes. I only got poisoned like 2 times in the whole game, so I don't know how useful this is. I made a small stop at some raider encampment and didn't find much, but I think we might have to come back here later. Finally, after so much running around, I went on my way to Vault 15. Did I mention that you can get random encounters on the map? Maybe I should have pointed that out earlier. Anyways, once inside the vault, and after cleaning a few big rats, I kinda stopped on my tracks, not knowing what to do. Oh. Rope? Why would I need rope? God damn it. Contrary to what the internet tries to tell me, rope is indeed not free, but talking to Seth, I realized I have to save somebody on the raider camp, so I might as well. It's on the way. I entered the camp and started blasting. And one of my many complaints with the companions is that the AI is terrible. They will unnecessarily chase bad guys, get in the way of shots, or fail to use their stim packs. And when a companion dies, it's gone forever. No such thing as resurrection magic here. If you're going to learn a lesson, learn that using companions in tight spaces is deadly. For you. So I gave up with that approach, and I don't know how cheesy this was, but I engaged a few of them and then ran towards the edge of the map, entered again to clear a few more, and kept repeating it until only a few were left. Once the boss is down, we can rejoice at the mountains of loot and, girls? Girls? I'm stuck here forever, aren't I? Dreading the prospect of reloading and fighting a whole army again, I take the decision of killing the poor slave girls. Remember, there is not a non-lethal option. I can tell my companions to move away if they block me, but there is no such option for NPCs. Thankfully, the quest girl just moves and I can exit the building. I return her to Shady Sands, and then I should have gone back to the vault, but I got blinded by the shiny loot in the raider camp. So what I did is go to another city called The Hub to sell everything and hopefully get more loot. But I couldn't carry everything on a single go, so I made round trips until I got a cinematic warning that I was running out of time. That spooked me big time, so I ran right back at the vault. At least everyone was rocking metal armor and I had the assault rifle, which is a great mid-game weapon. I got down the elevator shaft with the rope, and after cleaning the floor, I found another elevator that... No way. I'm just kidding. There's a rope literally the next room over. After cleaning the vault from everything useful, I found no hints or indications of where to go next. There's a text dump in the game's log that is really easy to miss. At least it makes it clear that there's nothing more to be done here. I traveled back to Junktown, determined to destroy the gang this time, but I ended up picking a fight with the local doctor who had weird stuff in his basement. I ate a trap explosion with my face, but got some loot anyway. I approached the gang leader in a friendly manner and accepted his mission to steal from the bartender. And it's weird because you can't sick the cops on them until you actually steal the urn. So I lockpicked the bar and got the treasure. Went back to the gang leader and told him to hold on a little bit. And then I could get Lars. After a firefight, finally I was done with them with no bugs. The only possible place left to try and advance the plot is The Hub, a big city with many shops and quests. You can interrogate people about the water chip, but the key NPC is the book-selling lady that can get you a holodisc. Sadly, I can't steal this, so with all the pain in my little cheapskate heart, I had to pay for it. And I didn't understand how to use it, so I had to look it up. After you use the holodisc, you have to search within the Pip-Boy interface to look for the data. By reading the big text document, you get a rough location for a third vault, and you have to get there traveling on the map. Remember that traveling this way burns time, and I was getting a little anxious. I might have saves come my way into the Necropolis. Once inside this new location, you'll find tons of ghouls that are aggressive on sight, or if you loot things near them. I didn't feel bad for killing them. There are plenty of stairs leading to sewers, and you just have to explore and learn the city's layout. Eventually, down in the sewers, I found an encampment with friendly ghouls. Talking to their leader, I finally got a concrete clue of where the water chip is. Since I'm playing the good guy, I promised I would fix the watershed for them, because they do need water to survive. So, during my exploration, I met the first mutant in the game, and my instincts failed me as I attempted to be a nice guy and talk to him. One thing led to another, and I was captured, tortured, and eventually just put in jail. And this is probably the most baffling part about the whole game. So baffling that I put a couple of hours trying to persist. I really did believe that this was an organic sequence where you could escape from jail and then get the water chip and win the day. But no, it doesn't work that way. Even after investigating decade-old forum posts, it seems impossible to escape without resorting to some kind of exploit. And even if I did, the military base is just too far, and I was pretty low on time already. Completely defeated, I reloaded back to Necropolis. Oh, and since we're here, only 10 save slots? This is the kind of game where I make over 100 saves easy. Anyway, total. Mutant. Death. Mutants are a bit tougher and usually carry bigger weapons, but they're far from impossible. Inside the building you can find the water pump and a ghoul in jail. Next to him, there's a somewhat hidden stair that leads to the vault. Hoping not to get more undesirable twists, I move into the creepy vault, great ambience by the way, and shoot my way to the computer that is holding the chip. Note that taking the chip makes everyone except the sewer ghouls hostile. Now, if I was a bad guy, I could just leave, but I'm going to stay to repair the water pump. I eventually got into a sewer section full of big rats where I could finally pick up junk. Yeah, the vital item to complete an important quest not only is really hard to see without item highlighting, it's also named junk. I shouldn't have to explain why this is bad, right? Well, I didn't quite understand what to do with a lovely piece of junk, so I returned to the friendly ghoul. Repairing the pump actually uses your repair skill. We'll get a couple of skill books and hopefully that will be enough. The water pump is in the same building the mutants were in, and sure, it stands out, but sometimes I wish this game had tooltips or something. After a few tries, it finally works and the ghouls are saved. Before leaving Necropolis, there is one last building filled with the bad ghouls. They're actually quite dangerous and not necessary to kill, but I'm leaving with the extra XP and loot. On my way to the vault to return the chip, I got a cinematic alerting me that I was almost out of time, so I rushed to the overseer to finally finish the quest. And something happened here, or should I say didn't happen. Lots of videos I have seen and things I have read say that there's a second time limit you have to destroy the mutants and their leader. I found no references to this during my play whatsoever. I don't know if that is because of the version I'm playing, or maybe the mod disables that by default. I'm not really sure, but from now on I just played without a care in the world, hoping I don't regret it down the line. Without having a clear direction where to go, I just focus on quests in the hub. First, I help Irwin with his raider infestation. This time I just bait everyone outside the house to prevent accidents. After getting all the loot and leaving, you'll get arguably the best pistol in the game, but it's best served as the ultimate weapon for Ian. I was also very happy I could finally afford combat armor, because my addiction to numbers going up never stops. Next, I went to the Fargo traders and picked up a rumor about a Deathclaw attacking caravans. This will send you to talk to several NPCs to gather clues, and once again I wasted a bunch of time trying to find the Deathclaw by normal means, when what you have to do is talk to the crazy guy in Old Town to get teleported to a cave. Maybe I was a bit overprepared, but the imposing Deathclaw was kinda easy to take down despite having tons of HP. In the cave there's also a dying mutant with a holodisc. When we return to the Fargo traders, we get a reference to the leader of the mutants, the Master. Next up, I tried to get into the moneylender's vault, and they got really pissed at me, but considering that I gunned them down in the street and the local police didn't care, I assumed I was in the right. Back in Old Town, there's a very hidden stair leading to the base of the Thieves' Circle. The way has a couple of traps and closed doors, so you might need some skills to get there. Inside you can take a quest to steal a necklace from a local businessman, with one catch: you can't kill anybody. The mansion is to the far west of the hub, and the area is crawling with bodyguards. I was downright happy that I had a chance to use a sneak to do something useful. As usual, I ate another trap explosion, but I got the loot anyway. I returned the necklace safely and got my rewards. After that, it's time to do some evil quests. Talk to Kane in the local bar and ask for an audience with Decker, the local crime lord. He asks that we kill the same dude we just stole from, so I just went there again and started blasting. The Decker missions do give some negative karma, but at this point I was swimming in positive karma, so I didn't really care that much. Decker's second hit is the local leader of the cult. Sadly, you are going to aggro the whole church, and killing the doctor is a bit of an inconvenience, but hey, there's tons of loot here. Also, Taiko just turned around and shot a kid. He was just carrying flowers, man, what the hell?
Fuck them kids.
Anyways, the plot twist here is that after getting the second reward, you can still go to the cops and give them an excuse to attack Deckard, just to get even more rewards. Oh, and I have to say that Dogmeat died in this fight and I didn't realize, so I actually played a fair bit, noticed Dogmeat was gone, regretted it, and reloaded to make sure he didn't die. After putting Deckard down, I took one of the repeatable quests to escort the caravan. It's just as it sounds, you travel to some place and maybe you get attacked, and then you return. The problem with these quests is that you have to wait for the proper day and time, and that can be real annoying. So, to kill two birds with one stone, I took the caravan that goes to the Brotherhood of Steel. I spoke to the guards in front and told them I want to join. The quest to become a member is to go to a certain place and pick up a certain item. I already had the place marked on my map, so I didn't have to wander around. The glow is probably the only place where radiation plays a part. Luckily, I was collecting drugs just for situations like this. You have to take enough to become 100% resistant to radiation or you will have a bad time. Also, you need a rope to get in. You didn't forget the rope, did you? The item needed for the Brotherhood is a holodisc that can only be found near the start of level 1. But what is the fun about running away so early? There's a total of 6 floors. The idea is to collect keycards and activate elevators. Once you reach the bottom, you can restore power to the facility and get away with a bunch of great loot, like the sniper rifle, a rocket launcher, and other explosives. And it's probably the first time the average player can see energy weapons. As a matter of fact, the plasma rifle found here was my main weapon for the rest of the game. From this point forward, I dumped every skill point into the energy weapons skill to make it more effective. Anyway, restoring the power also activates all the robot guardians, so it was a battle trying to get back to the surface. There is also a bunch of lore drops explaining the story of the facility, but I didn't want to read a lot. All in all, the glow is actually a pretty fun dungeon that is mostly optional. The only downside is that you better have a really high carry capacity. After all that, I returned to the Brotherhood and was allowed in the base. Inside, there's a couple of interesting things you can do. You'll get a complimentary combat armor, but that's not what we want. We want the Brotherhood of Steel power armor. What I did was find this technician that will ask for a special part. However, I messed up badly by being honest with the supply room dude. I thought I had soft-locked myself from getting the armor, but thankfully I could steal this part from one of the leader's rooms by using my talent at sneaking. I returned happily to the tech guy only to be smacked with another wall. Apparently, I didn't have enough repair skill to get the armor working, so I had to resort to spending a mini fortune buying repair skill books back at the hub. After jumping through all those hoops, I was finally able to get the armor repaired. I did have to play inventory Tetris because the armor is really heavy, but at least I was finally fully equipped. Another important thing you should do in the Brotherhood's base is speak to the doctor. He offers surgery that increases your ability scores by 1. It costs some money and in-game time, but it's an amazing boost to your character. Without clearly knowing where to go next, I decided to visit the Boneyard. It's a bit of a confusing zone at first, but I just took some time to talk to NPCs and figure out what's going on. To the south, there is a small town called Detour. which is mostly run by mercenaries called the Regulators. The mayor hates the gang known as the Blades because they killed his son, and he sends me to take care of them. But by going to the Blades' hideout, it's pretty obvious they are the good guys, and they need weapons to defend themselves, so we go to the east to find the gun runners. But to get there, we need to cross a map that's full of deathclaws. The gun runners say they will help as long as we get rid of the deathclaw infestation. Before I took care of that, I went far to the west to another building where another group called the Followers of the Apocalypse are. And I have to confess that I read this on a wiki because I would have never figured out there was another companion here. Look at her, she looks like any other NPC. Also, I realized that having 4 companions at the same time is pure chaos and almost more of a hindrance than a help. But what can I say, I just wanted to use them and I am way too stubborn to let them die. After further investigation, the reason deathclaws keep spawning is because there's a mother deathclaw we have to kill to... Wait, endless respawning deathclaws? Kill the deathclaw, skip about 6 hours, change the map, return, and repeat. The MMO brain has been engaged again, but as tempting as it is to level to max like this, I only did it enough to level once. In the middle of my farming session, I returned to the hub for business, but I also realized I had missed something big. There was a house where I had never entered before that had a few hostile NPCs. Have you ever missed a shooting roll so badly that the shot hit someone standing in the complete opposite direction? After the battle is over, there's a really hidden NPC that was being kept prisoner. He is actually a member of the Brotherhood. When I return to base, I get rewarded with a power armor? I could have done this entire time? According to my investigation, you can only get 2 power armors unless you want to anger the Brotherhood and raid their storage room. I gave the second armor to my boy Ian and returned to the Boneyard. I finally killed the deathclaw mother and destroyed all the eggs to continue with the quest. I returned to the gunrunners to seal the deal, but before starting the war, and I learned this the hard way, I had to find this super important item called junk. With this item in our possession, I went to a Detour and completed the quest for fixing the local hydroponic farms. And this is important because after you are done with the side quest, you'll have an upgraded power armor and an upgraded plasma rifle, which, to me at least, seems like the strongest equipment in the game. Now, after this is taken care of, I went to the Blades leader and started the confrontation. The problem with this little battle is that there are so many characters involved that it takes a ridiculous amount of waiting for you to be granted a turn. Also, and this is something I found later, supposedly there is a way to discover that the Regulators were the ones that killed the mayor's son and framed the Blades, but I never saw the opportunity to do it. I just let it go because the outcome is pretty much always the same. The mayor dies no matter what, but it was worth a mention. After the conflict was settled, I didn't quite know where to go. I visited the church, which is obviously going to be important at some point, but I didn't want to go too far into it yet. I did remember that the neighbor from Family Guy asked me to explore the northern part of the map in search of mutants, so I followed that thread. Random encounters in this zone are probably the most dangerous I have faced so far, and there are a few realities of Fallout life, and one of them is that an unlucky roll against a mutant using a burst vulcan, it's going to be deadly no matter what. Your companions are pretty weak to this as well, so it was about time for me to start using them less and less. Does that mean that the game balance is bad? Yeah, it kinda does. The only thing we can do is try to stack the odds in our favor and keep the load button close. After finally discovering the base, I took care of the mutants guarding the entrance without too much trouble. I quickly ran back to the Brotherhood and convinced the Council to provide support. The support is just 3 Brotherhood NPCs, but no matter what I did, only 2 of them entered the base with me. I guess I should count myself lucky because I often read that none of them usually enter. But you know what? That might have been better, as I soon saw myself completely stuck in the elevators. Thankfully, I was able to bait a mutant to fire a rocket and kill my unwanted party. Overcoming the seemingly impossible odds was actually pretty fun. For example, in this section, using the pillar as a line-of-sight trap worked wonders. Clearing this room paid off, not only because of the loot, but because you can find this little item that turns off most of the annoying laser barriers. Also, this was the first time I took PEDs that lowered my intelligence stat, and I got the famous low intelligence dialogue options. It was also the first time I realized you can use multiple stim packs in a single turn by opening the menu. Better late than never, I guess. As I keep going deeper into the base, I finally reach the prison bits that traumatized me so long ago. And after piles and piles of charred corpses, at last I got the best of the lieutenant.
Felt funny.
But it's not the end yet. The objective is destroying the whole base. Visiting the computer room after killing the lieutenant causes this funny effect of having all the priests explode. After I got the computer keycard, I had to choose between all these gibberish options, and the base explodes with me in it. I assume I'm seeing unreadable text because I don't have much of a science skill, so I just save-scummed until I got a reasonable option with enough time to escape. Also, at some point I completely shut the computer terminal down, and I wonder if the game is just soft-locked after that point. Anyway, I bought myself enough time to run away and gather my companions. After the explosion, there's pretty much nothing left. Returning to the Brotherhood, there doesn't seem to be anything new, not even a thank you. There's only one place left to visit, the Cathedral. It's pretty obvious the Master must be there. It's the only place we haven't explored, and the map locations are pretty much full. But I'm still kinda bothered that there are no direct breadcrumbs leading to a quest there. Maybe that's a bias from modern gaming, I guess. However, I found out that if you visit the followers of the Apocalypse back at the Boneyard, there's an important NPC that does give you a mission to go there. Of course, it looks like any other character, so it's easy to miss. Anyway, you can talk to Nicole, the leader of the followers, who will offer assistance for raiding the Cathedral. As long as we go inside with no weapons equipped, fights will not start. You can find Nicole's contact Laura near the entrance and get a ton of information about the cult and the Master. The truth is that we can skip a lot by lockpicking the door to the basement or blowing it up with explosives, but I took the long way of going up the stairs to get the key on the last floor. On the way up, you'll find stilted mutants and more cult members. I had my full party and the followers NPCs, so things got hilariously crowded. On the last floor, you can kill Morpheus and take the black key to open the way to the basement. Of course, everyone on the main entrance turns hostile and we have to sweep them up before continuing. In the basement, behind a bookcase, there's a secret entrance where we can access a small cave with a few monsters and mutants. Once we dispatch them, we can enter the final vault. Now, it's perfectly possible to end this segment by dressing in a cultist robe and get yourself to the nuke room to blow the base without having to fight. And in most games, that's usually more my style, but not today. Sadly, trying to go all out with my party will invariably result in some of them dying. I know a lot of people don't care much about losing companions, especially this late, but I already made up my mind and I was not leaving any man or dog behind. Also, there's really no need to clean every floor anymore because we are so close to the end and I already pretty much have every item in the game and no more need for money. So I abandoned my party in the second floor and I moved forward alone. The way to the next elevator was past a room filled with mutants. It looks almost impossible, but I used the strongest strategy in all of gaming: line of sight, bottlenecking, and praying I don't aggro the whole facility at once. I pulled the room and held my ground in this little doorframe, periodically peeking out and shooting. Also, all the enemies formed a neat little line that had the added benefit of mutants accidentally hitting each other on the back. I was extremely lucky all the robots and NPCs in the other rooms didn't aggro. After cleaning mutant remains from my powered boots, I take the elevator and dispatch the last 2 guards. You can just use the console to trigger the nuke, or you can also use the activator key from the mutant lieutenant back at the military base. Just like before, when the bomb is activated, we have a limited time to run outside. When you do, then we'll see the explosion and the ending will... Wait a second, where's the master? To my surprise, you can finish the game without ever talking or even seeing the main antagonist. I missed the door on the opposite side of the compound. After going through the small corridor, I was finally face to face with the master. If you're waiting for some navel-gazing or philosophizing about the abomination on screen, I'm sorry, but I've got nothing. Except for plasma rounds. I thought it was going to be a trivial fight thanks to the pillars that allowed line of sighting the master's turret. But to my surprise, there was a constant stream of mutants spawning, and I also aggroed all the robots in the previous room. So many enemies appeared that I was almost ready to give up and reload until they finally stopped spawning. I shit you not, fighting the ads was a little over 16 minutes. Without the constant stream of enemies, the master fell quickly and easily with the pillar strategy. As soon as the master falls, the timer will start ticking down, but I got stuck in turn-based mode with a few robots pursuing me. Thankfully, as soon as I reach the elevator, I can run normally again. Quickly pick up my abandoned characters and leave the cathedral. After the satisfying explosion, the ending slides will play. I don't know why, but I got a seemingly bad ending for the Necropolis. I guess I didn't get there fast enough, or maybe I killed too many people. Also, the slide for the hub makes no sense. I never even spoke with a Iguana dude. From what can I gather, the quest I reference got cut at some point. When the slides are over, there is one final scene of our return to the vault in which the overseer goes, "Oh, thank you, but I can't let you back in because you're too cool and you could make other people want to leave." So as soon as the dialogue closes, if you're quick on the trigger, you can blow the overseer up. He even has a cool death animation. The Fallout FIXT mod gives you the option to keep playing if you want, which I thought was pretty neat. If we choose to end it, the final cinematic plays out and the credits will roll. And that's it, Fallout Classic is done. And I liked it a lot. I got really into it and I was always looking forward to playing a little more each day. My main criticism revolves around the companion system. According to Tim Kaine, the whole companion idea came very late into development and that's why a lot of it feels really haphazard and incomplete. I know it's a bit of a personal take, but if I was able to freely equip and spec companions, this game would have immediately jumped from good to great in an instant. Some people are really married to the idea that Fallout companions should always be AI, but I disagree. I would have loved having full control during fights. I do know that Fallout Tactics exists, and I might make a video on it someday. The other flaws are small quirks that come from the game's age, like having to pixel hunt where to click to use the stairs, or the barter screen cheating its pants and not working correctly, which I can ignore for the most part. Also, I had to mention another thing that I liked was that the music and general ambience was mostly quiet and haunting, something really fitting a ruined world, and there was absurd humor, sure, but it didn't feel like it overpowered the whole thing. Well, that's pretty much all I got for now. Signing off. Until the next one.
War never changes.
War has changed.
War never changes.
War has changed.